Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today we are discussing the Bell & Ross Space 3 GMT Chronograph. You can see this stainless steel, dual-time Bell & Ross chronograph and purchase it on our website, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos. You can also click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full listing for this watch with additional accessories included, high-resolution images, and naturally full pricing details. Now, on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can discern two things about this watch. First, it fits very nicely on a smaller wrist, exceptionally compact. It's the perfect match for a smaller wrist like mine if you want a complicated contemporary sports watch. And second, this is a very different aesthetic than the current Bell & Ross instrument-style timepieces. And one might even say it's completely alien to the company's modern-day styling language. Why is that? Well, because we don't see too many of the original Sin-Urin constructed Bell & Ross watches. They were built by Sin from 1992 to 2002 when Bell & Ross moved into its own manufacture building in La Chaux-de-Fonds. These Sin watches, rarely seen, especially in the United States, are exceptional value in construction quality, and they have a vintage charm to them that belies their age of just over a decade and a half. This is a watch that feels very much of the late 70s, early 80s. It almost has a Porsche design IWC look and feel to it. Now, on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, the watch is compact. Though 41 millimeters across the round of the case, you'll note the completely flush T-crown and integrated pushers. It's very, very narrow from lug to lug. 43 millimeters, despite being a 41 millimeter watch, that's about as compact as you can get, measured essentially horizontal across the wrist in a 41 millimeter case. Again, from lug to lug, it's more compact than a 36 millimeter Rolex Datejust, but in a 41 millimeter steel case. It is thick, 16 millimeters, but you'll note, because it does have a rounded, almost weathered look to the flank of the case, a sport jacket, a blazer, a loose-fitting sweater will have no trouble riding up over the flank of this case. And the watch does have a very organic aesthetic to it. Again, like those IWC Porsche design watches, it has a timeless Teutonic conservatism to it. It's subdued, it's not overbearing, it's certainly not garish, and it has a sensuous quality to it with all of these compound curves, almost like a weathered pebble in a stream. You'll also note that with no lugs, you can easily pull the strap down and around the tight curve of a small wrist. I would say that because the watch is so narrow lug to lug, down to 13 centimeters in circumference, you're going to be able to wear this watch easily. Now, the Space 3 launched in the late 1990s toward the tail end of the Bell & Ross manufacturing partnership with Sin. Unlike the Space 1 and Space 2, the Space 3 was not signed Bell & Ross by Sin, but nevertheless, the provenance, the pedigree, very, very deep. This is a watch with the double imprimatur mechanically of Sin and aesthetically of Bell & Ross. It also has a nice pin buckle with a similarly subdued satin-finished steel aesthetic, matches the case beautifully and allows easy on-the-fly adjustments. Bellows-style crinkle to the strap on both sides allows flexibility and articulation. As I said, the case has a very sensuous, soft, flowing, and understated aesthetic to it, and the dial contributes additionally to that vintage vibe because it is a tritium dial, and the tritium, which is faded to a glorious ecru patina here, makes the watch feel very much like something of a different era. It looks nothing like the current Bell & Ross instrument series, for example, but at the same time, because it does feel very strongly tied to Sin design language from the 1990s, the watch has a charm while being just as functional as any contemporary watch, and that is a very desirable dichotomy: function and vintage vibe in one. Second time zone at 6 o'clock. There's a pusher corrector to adjust the hour of that second time zone on the case flank. Otherwise, you have chronograph seconds and minutes, seconds with signal orange hand at center, minutes at 12 o'clock, constant seconds at 9 o'clock, and a radial date with a quick set function accessed through the crown at 3 o'clock. The crown is a special piece. It's called the T-crown, and it's completely recessed, just like the completely flush chronograph pushers, which I'll demonstrate in action. The crown itself is seamlessly aligned to the case flank. until you pull out the sleeve that acts essentially as a extension of the crown for the purpose of screwing it out of its fixed position. So it retains a mechanical link to the crown. Now you hear it pop, now the crown is out, and I can use the entire crown, not just the sleeve, to wind it, to use the quick set function for the date, or to set the time. It does feature hacking, so you can pull the crown out to extremity, stop the balance, precisely synchronize to a known accurate reference time. Once it's screwed back in, you have 200-meter water resistance, thanks to the screwed-in caseback and screw-down crown. So fully recessed, nevertheless, the crown does give you the same functionality you would expect from a substantial water-resistant sports watch. Unidirectional winding with a 42-hour power reserve. Bell & Ross calls this caliber the 342 or 324, pardon me. But the 324 is very much a modified Valjoux 7750 with all the inherent strengths, efficiency, and convenience functions of the 7750. Set it and forget it reliability, automatic winding, of course the quick set date and the hacking seconds. Plus, in a package such as this, most unconventionally presented, this is a Bell & Ross for the guy who doesn't necessarily like the Bell & Ross brand, the Bell & Ross image. It has the charm of a vintage watch, the functionality of a modern watch, and a great dual parentage you can be proud of between Sin Urin with fabrication and finishing and Bell & Ross contributing its design and savoir-faire in the fashion sense. The watch is a seamless blend of both Bell & Ross's aesthetic sensibility circa late 1990s and Sin's enduring commitment to quality. You can see it and you can purchase it on our website.